We're live. Beer Guys Radio in the studio. I think it's been a minute since we have an in-studio guest, hasn't it?
Yeah.
When was the last time? Do you recall? Who was the last one we had in studio?
I am not sure. Boy, don't know.
I don't know. But Kettlerock Brewing, Peachtree Corners, Georgia is here with us today. We have Stephen Peet. Thank you for coming and hanging with us here.
You're welcome.
Sharing your beer. Sterling Peet, head brewer extraordinaire, correct?
Absolutely.
I almost said extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire, yes.
Extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire. Yeah, people say my hair looks
That
pretty good.
too, right? That too.
Yes, you do have lovely hair. So, yes, extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire. We'll just make up the words as we go. There's some out there, but it took a while. Someone made up the words that exist now.
Exactly.
That's right.
We have to make up some more. But yeah, Kettlerock Brewing, thanks for joining us.
Oh,
Devin Peet. There we go.
One of the
There we go.
Peets.
Yes,
right.
the Peet, the whole Peet. Yeah, someone's got to take up your slack since you're not there to comment.
That's
So they've
right.
got you covered.
That's
They've got
right.
you covered.
Perfect,
there.
perfect.
It's good. But for everybody out there watching the stream, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So you can watch wherever you prefer there. Feel free to leave a comment. We're going to get into recording the show here in a minute, but we'll definitely be back to chat with you when we go to break. So, gentlemen, you ready to do this?
We are ready.
Absolutely.
Let's do it then. Let's go.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
And welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're broadcasting from the Beer Guys Radio Studios in Marietta, Georgia. And this week, we're talking with Kettlerock Brewing. I am Tim Dennis, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Brian Hewitt.
Hey, Tim. So joining us today, we have Stephen Peet, the CFO, and Sterling Peet, the head brewer of Kettlerock Brewing. I almost got that right. And they're both founders, of course, as well. We're going to talk about the origins of Kettlerock, what it means, home brewing, new beers, and probably a little bit about the...
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. We've got some beers here. I believe we're into the blonde right now.
Yes, sir.
And what's the name of the blonde? And we'll get into the story because there's method to the madness.
A theme.
Is that right?
Even.
There is quite a theme. So Trailhead is the name of the blonde, and it is the beginning of your craft beer journey.
Okay,
So-
that makes sense.
It is. That style is kind
That's
of the
where you
beginning for a
start.
lot of people when it comes to craft beer journeys. So,
And when people come into the brewery and they say, "Gee, I like one of the big beers. What should I try?" That's the one we
Let's
recommend.
start here.
Start at the Trailhead.
Absolutely.
It makes
That's
a
good
lot of
stuff.
sense.
Yeah, clean, simple beer. You'll scare someone off with a big IPA or something if they're new
Exactly.
to these kind of beers. Well, good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to start out. There's a connection to you, a former guest, homebrewing and all that stuff. PC
Absolutely.
Mashers,
Yes, sir.
which I'm assuming is Peachtree Corners
Yes.
Mashers.
That's correct.
You are some of the founding members of that
We are.
homebrew club,
Yes.
right? And Jay Brantley, who was our homebrewer of the year
Yes.
in the Best of Georgia Beer Awards that we did, I think 2 years ago, maybe.
I think he
2 or
was
3
Brew Pub
years
of the
ago.
year, too.
He was.
He had a lot of
Brew-
fans. He
Brew
did.
Pub
He
of
got
the year,
best
brewery
small
of
brewery.
the year,
Yes.
best big brewery of the
That's
year.
right.
Go Jay.
Best
Go, Jay.
regional
I mean,
brewery.
Yeah.
Best
For-
international brewery.
You got to admit, for a one-man homebrewing operation, that's
Doing
pretty
pretty good.
impressive.
And
Yeah.
so last year he was only second, but he'll tell you it took 2 guys to beat him.
There you go.
That's a good
Absolutely.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had Jay in, talked to him. After that, we've hung out with him a couple times. He makes really nice beers. Now,
He does.
are you still involved with the homebrew club now that you're
Absolutely.
pros?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Not for lack of trying to give it up. I mean, we
Sure.
keep saying, hey, we love doing this homebrew stuff. We love coming to the homebrew meetings. But if you feel like you want someone else to be the president of the club, you should tell us because we're also okay with that.
Right.
And somehow he's still the president from the very beginning.
They like you, Steven. That's all there is to it, right?
And I think that's
Yeah.
okay.
Sure.
It provides some longevity and it provides some leadership, and he has very good organization compared to a number of us, which really helps for the home brewing
Gotta
club.
have one, right?
Yeah,
Gotta
it
have
takes one. So That seems to have worked out well for the club, and nobody's asked to kick us out yet. So
Yet there's still time.
there's still time.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed, homebrew clubs love to have the pro brewers involved. They love to have them there and sample their beers and share around that. The only time I've seen I don't know if complaint's the right word, just some grumblings, is I know there were a couple brewers that kind of went pro, but they still entered the homebrew competitions. And then so when a homebrewer is coming out, or a pro brewer is coming out of the homebrew competition with 4 medals,
Yeah, it seems a
a
little
little the homebrewers get a little salty
That's
there.
a little suspect.
I can see where that would be a little frustrating.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that if you look at the banner, the Facebook banner for the PC Masters Homebrew Club, there's a guy standing in the very middle of it, along with all of us, happens to be on his back porch because of the day that we took that particular photo, and that guy is wearing a BGR shirt. It turns out, and
we love it. We love it.
Great.
he opened the first brewery in
Gwinnett
County.
Cool. There you go. See, man.
So he was
we
there.
love it.
He was there as a pro brewer supporting homebrewers.
That's it. Now, how do you guys? What are some of the ways you guys interact with the homebrew club now that you're pros? Has it changed the way you interact with them?
I don't think it's really changed a lot. One of the things that happened with the world turning upside down last year is we decided to meet outside, and now we meet at what's Dog Days, Chicago Dogs and Burgers, right next door to our brewery. So we're right there,
Right there.
right next to the brewery.
Well, there are legalities involved with homebrew clubs and
Yes,
inside professional
yeah.
breweries. I think it gets a little
It does. And
tenacious.
the great thing about Dog Days is that they don't serve alcohol, and that's the
Okay.
key there.
All right.
Ah.
Yeah.
If
that
you
makes
don't
sense.
serve alcohol, then you're eligible to do
BYOB.
I mean, I don't know about that, but you are eligible to get a permit for an event that can happen. It turns out as much as every month,
Gotcha.
which is what we do every month.
Okay.
So that's how the legality is served. So that's where we meet. It is nice and convenient to us that it's right next to the brewery. It also means that for the brewery, we don't need to worry about being a brew pub or trying to serve food because that's not our thing.
Right.
But they serve
Yeah.
fantastic Chicago hot dogs. And so if they bring them over to the brewery, that works for us.
See, that's, I know as our laws changed here in Georgia in 2017, a lot of people there, but I talked to quite a few brewers that they're like, I don't want to do that. I'm not a restaurateur. I'm a brewer. That's what I want to do is I want to brew beer.
Right.
And different places have done, whether it's the food trucks or I know Variant had to deal with the pizza place up the street where they just run it down to you. They didn't really do delivery, but they're like, yeah, we'll bring pizza over to your guests there.
So Dog Days, they had a problem the first weekend, our grand opening weekend. They had people out the door. They also had the internet ordering. So they were struggling with keeping up. And then they finally decided, we can do pagers. And
Okay.
now you go over there, you order your food, come over to the brewery, drink a beer. The pager goes off. You go grab your food, come back over, have another beer. It works great for us.
Perfect.
Yeah, and you don't have to sit there not drinking beer to wait on your hot dog that way, right?
Exactly.
Yes, so disappointing.
Everybody wins. Everybody
Indeed.
wins.
Well, Tim, I think it's time for us to get into the beers of the week.
Now it's time for our Beers of the Week. Brought to you by The Nest, craft beer and barbecue in downtown Kennesaw, Georgia. TheNestKennesaw.com.
Well, Brian, as always, we've got a great list of beers to try here. We've got a table full of crowlers from our friends at Kettlerock, and we're going to try as many of them as we can.
Yes, we are.
And I do want to thank The Nest for sponsoring this segment, Brian. They sponsored this very segment. Guess what they've got coming up July 3rd?
What do they have coming up July
Brian,
3rd?
it is their annual July 3rd pig and gator roast.
Oh, yes.
I know you're a fan of the roast. I am too. So go up there. Craft beer, whole smoked alligators. You've never seen a spectacle like that before. So
Wow.
that's right, Stephen. Have you ever seen a whole smoked alligator?
I have not.
See?
I have not.
There you go. Well, The Nest has got you covered July 3rd. So thanks, guys. We appreciate you sponsoring the segment. Kettlerock Brewing. I don't even know where to start here, Stephen. I'm going to mention a few that we're going to drink.
We can
Right now we're in Trailhead, correct?
We can go down the trail as we mentioned.
Sure. You know what? We're going to mention a few here, and as we get into each of them as we go through, but we've got variable conditions is your kettle sour. You start with a base kettle sour, and then you have flavorings you can add at the brewery, right?
That's correct.
You also do a seltzer called Base Layer. Same thing, just a basic seltzer, no flavorings.
Correct.
And then you can choose your flavor there at the tap room, right?
Right, exactly.
We got a tripping hazard, a Belgian triple at a 9.3%, which is probably what you should sip when you're setting at home after the hike, right?
After the hike, definitely.
Yes. High humidity, hazy IPA, Mountain House, Milk Stout, and Bear Tracks Wee Heavy. So just a great selection of beers to get into, Brian. We are
Indeed.
definitely going to enjoy it. I'm liking this blonde ale. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, Brian, why don't you tell us what's happening in the news?
What's in the news? The beer guys have the scoop.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Time for headlines.
So some sad news this week. Denver's iconic Falling Rock Tap House has announced it's shutting down after 24 years in business. Due to Falling Rock's close proximity to the Colorado Convention Center and its early embrace of craft beer and its expansive tap list and bottle list, it became an essential part of the Great American Beer Festival experience. Though Falling Rock did take a huge hit during the pandemic, that was only part of the problem. They've had problems ongoing for the past 5 years involving construction issues, neighborhood changes, supplier competition, and rapidly increasing costs as factors in this. And Falling Rock will close their doors finally on Sunday, June 27th.
Sad.
Yeah,
Sad
it's
stuff.
terrible. Yeah.
Very sad. We were actually there 2 years ago when we went to the CBC, the Craft Beer Brewers Conference.
I visited in 2016 when I went out to my first GABF. I say first, it's the only time I've been to GABF. So I went out to GABF, but there was an energy there. You could definitely tell it was a great bar, great tap list and everything. So even though I just had the one visit, I know the stories. I know the connection to Denver and GABF. So I know it's a big loss for Denver and for the beer community
Huge.
Yeah.
overall. So sad to see him go for sure. Well, you're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break, but we'll be back very soon with more from Kettlerock Brewing. There we go.
Trying to figure out what the right time to like.
Clear.
I didn't see. Do we have any comments going?
We did.
Yeah, we had a couple.
Did we? Oh, hey, cheers.
Cheers,
Hey, Sean.
Sean. How's it going, man? Did Sean build your brewery?
Sean did. And
Okay, that's what I thought.
Ooh.
Good.
Sean and Chris Dooley with Dooley Mac.
Dooley Mac, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Cool.
And they did a great job. Andrew was the superintendent, and he was awesome. They were all
We
awesome.
know Sean since the early days of BGR.
That's right.
way back.
CR.
And that's where our wonderful sponsor, Storytime Construction,
Also
came from CRL Contracting.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Storytime Construction, they build breweries.
They build breweries. Yes, indeed they do.
No, but seriously, I want to thank Storytime
Yeah.
and Truck and Tap. They just renewed their sponsorship with Beer Guys
We
Radio.
love you guys.
Truck and Tap's been with us since either before we went on the air or right after our first show. They've been with us since the very beginning. And Truck and Tap actually launched their first restaurant around the same time we started Beer Guys Radio back in 2016. So they had just the Woodstock location then. We knew Zach Yurchuk, one of the owners of Truck and Tap, when he had Barrel and Barley, the growler and bottle
That's
shop.
right. The homebrew and
Yeah.
growler shop.
So then Truck and Tap, and now they have a location in Woodstock where I live, and they have one in Duluth and Alpharetta, and at the Battery, the Brave Stadium, they have the Taps at Feast,
Oh yes,
which
the
is
Taps at
inside of the
Feast.
Asian food hall there. So
That food hall's fun. That's a
yeah,
good
so
place.
there's my
Yeah.
sponsor shot for this week, y'all. For those watching, there's my sponsor shout out there. Are these the
Honorary
same
fee.
as one of these for
He was talking about the Wee Heavy being awesome. So
yeah,
that's what
Sean says the
what
Wee
we're
Heavy's
drinking right
awesome.
now.
So
Yes.
we're on it. Good. So let me see. Nate hid one of our comments here. John, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
John Burkhardt is from Ashtabula, Ohio, and is a former
Okay.
high school member of mine.
Awesome. I know Ashtabula, and I don't know exactly why. Maybe I just heard the name, and it's so unusual that it stuck with me. But I
River of many fish.
Okay. Is that what the word means?
That's what it
Okay.
means in Indian. Yes.
All right.
Okay. Cool.
I know. I feel like I did something or knew something.
It's the largest port on
Ashtabula.
Lake Erie between Cleveland and Erie.
Okay.
Used to be huge with iron ore and coal.
All right. We're spitting facts here tonight, man. Get
That's right.
educated.
All that information.
It's not just beer education here. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you so much. Here we'll come. I'll come on the down low.
Underneath all of the
Nate, you can take it by osmosis through here to these guys there. So, ooh, that smells good. I love a wee heavy.
I do like a wee heavy. It's not a very popular style
It's
anymore.
not. But that's nice. That's really good.
Well, it does sell well.
It sells very well in the tap room.
And I know that you have put some beer in barrels. We'll probably talk about that in a bit, but that'd be a good candidate for one. Wee heavy.
That one is in a ASW Fiddler barrel right now.
Oh, the Bear Tracks is. Oh, I thought the Milk Stout was.
Yeah.
So I have two Fiddler barrels.
What do you think? They just had one barrel?
Well, no, I knew they had multiple barrels.
You
I
put
thought it was
two beers in barrels.
I thought that all of the barrels were dedicated to one style of beer.
I see.
I see you being a jerk over there. But you know what I meant.
Wait
Yeah,
till you find
yeah,
out they got a third beer in barrels,
Oh
Brian.
no! Well, the triple, right?
That's coming up. That's coming up.
There you go.
There's an Imperial Stout that is just finishing up. It's going to go into barrels, and then a third of it will go into barrels, and then the rest of it will go to the tap room. So, yeah, we're about to have
That's
three.
awesome. You know, on the wee heavy note, a lot of times these days I'm drinking a lot of Pilsners, man. I'm really crushing the lagers, the lighter beers, and that. But sometimes I want something. I want something that's not. I want a little more flavor.
Yeah, pass that around.
Got it, man. I want a little more flavor than just a Pilsner. Something with some, roast and toast and stuff to it. And I got to remember beers like the wee heavy. It's just not. It's not too crazy, and brings a little more character to the mix.
Refill on the way
Bring it
through.
up.
Skeeter Pete.
Skeeter P.
Oh my goodness, so we're gonna have to talk about that now.
Oh my God.
We brewed that. I thought they were talking about
I
us.
still have cases
Yeah.
of it at home.
We do
So-
have.
Yeah.
I have some too.
So
Yes.
Mark is my brother's father-in-law.
Okay.
So Devin said hello, and now his father-in-law is saying,
All right. We got the whole crew here.
And
I-
we made Skeeter P.
yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. So actually, we had it at some of the weddings that in the family. We've brought it as one of the alcoholic drinks, and it's so for those that don't know, it's a lemon wine, technically, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a well. It's not designed to be a classy drink. It's designed
No,
to
not at all.
right.
Load up a glass with ice cubes in the summer
Exactly.
barbecue.
Right.
Well, you know-
drink you some lemonade, and
This-
you're gonna get lit because it's not joking
Yeah,
around there.
It's lemon juice and sugar.
Yeah.
Isn't like
Yeah.
12% when it finishes, or maybe even 14.
I saw like 12 to 14 with some
Yeah.
estimates
Yeah,
on it. So.
depending on factors, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
It can be 12 to
We
14.
gave our.
Pop
That's
made
right.
cool labels for it and stuff. So.
Oh yeah,
Didn't we do a variant? Didn't we do a fruited variant of that one?
we
time?
did. I believe we. We messed with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Did we?
But you
Like
know
a
what? I'll
sangria-ish
say
one
this:
or something
people
like that?
love it.
They
Man,
do.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
people
do.
love it for something that is. What's the prison hooch? Jenkum or Jukum or something?
Oh,
what they call it?
Jenkum, I think something like
Jenga.
that. Jenkum.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Well, it's not Pruno, but
I'm trying to remember the name of it. Basically, like a toilet wine. I mean, it seriously, it's like you said, it's lemon and sugar,
Right.
and then
Mhm.
throw some yeast in there and
Yes.
make alcohol, and boom, you've got Skeeter P.
Exactly.
And but it's not bad if you like a hard lemonade, if you like an alcoholic lemonade, and to be honest,
Over
it makes a
ice, it's
decent
pretty
mixer.
good.
Over
Yeah.
ice, it's pretty good, especially
Yeah.
if you want to mix it. I think your Uma would do that. She'd ice it down and
Yeah.
And
mix it up.
What
so.
was that? What was that pink one? Sterling.
Oh,
Sterling?
oh dear. I made I made one that I was gonna call like a pink lemonade.
Okay.
And the way I made it pink was I put about 1.5 gallons of cherry juice in it.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, then I made a mistake, and
Did you get
at
some
the same time-
re-fermentation there?
oh no!
Sterling?
At the
No?
same
Okay,
time,
all right.
I was doing it was a mead that was a holiday mead, and it had I had mulling spices I was going to put in it. Well, I went to go put them in it, and it went into the wrong batch, and it ended up in the pink lemonade.
Mulled
Mulling-
pink
mulled
lemonade,
pink
right?
lemonade.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. How was it?
It was
It was
interesting.
and very well received, I would point out.
So
Okay,
they
see,
were-
that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, that
It's-
doesn't sound bad.
No, it
Lemon
wasn't.
and mulling spices.
It's weird. It was weird because it was one of those ones where I was like, I can't drink this. But like when we had parties, people were like, "Where's that stuff? That stuff is awesome. I want that.
What's
Can
the
I
stuff
take
you
this to
do?"
Dragon Con?"
Right. See, yeah, there you go. That's it. The spice and the
Yeah.
What is the goose or the hot goose beverage that you made? It's like a glue wine, but it's
Oh yeah. Mulled Creek.
yeah, Glue Creek.
Oh,
Yeah, Glue,
Glue
Creek.
Creek or
Yeah,
Glue
yeah.
Creek, however
It's
that's
Glue
it. Yeah.
Creek.
that
It's
sounds delicious.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
I heated up. It was Cascades. It was actually it was I think it was just their creek, and just added fruit. I think oranges and some apple juice and some mulling spices to it.
Right.
Heated it up a little bit, and it was really good. And it was impressive how good that was. I mean, considering you think about it, like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. The creek was pretty sour. It's pretty abrasive.
Mhm.
All that together, I'm like, man, this is really nice. So finished off a big old pot of that. I think
Fun
I drank
stuff,
2
man.
bottles of Creek that way.
Just yeah, it's like I got this covered. Happy holidays, everybody.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Happy
so-
holidays.
So
I'm gonna move your mic up just a touch there.
when
too.
that
Okay. I think it just fell back down.
when when that batch got bottled, the label that was put on it was Christmas in July.
Okay. All right.
And it had
Yeah.
a little, so we had a logo for our
Your
we called it the Beard Cave, where we were doing our brewing and stuff. And the logo for that one had like a Dali mustache.
Okay. There you go. Twist it.
I think if-
hands there.
I think if I were going to do that again,
Steven, could I have some more wee heavy? That was tasty.
if I
like
were
that.
going to do the whole Skeeter Pea thing again, I would do one and add peppercorns to it and call it lemon pepper wet.
we could do that. I got at least 1 or 2 cases of the stuff at home.
just uncork it, throw some peppercorns to the bottom, and cork it back up. I mean, there's nothing stopping us from doing that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. We could marinate chicken wings in it.
We could,
And then
yeah,
cook them up.
and still drink it.
And drink it with it.
Yeah.
How much alcohol does it take to kill off salmonella? There's
At
only
least
one way to
10%.
find out.
I mean,
Yeah. Oh boy, fun.
Wow. Wow.
Your dose of salmonella and lemon.
lemon pepper wet.
It's the
Skeeter Pea. Lemon wine.
Lemonous illness I've ever had. Cool. All right, guys. Shall we get back to it here? Get back to the show.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Remember, all episodes are available on demand. So if you missed the broadcast, get the podcast. Beer Guys Radio is available on all popular and unpopular podcasting apps. Now let's get back to Kettlerock Brewing.
Kettlerock Brewing. We are currently sipping a wee heavy that is known as Bear Tracks.
Absolutely.
It's very tasty. We've got this one at 7.6%, correct? Scottish style ale, malt forward with caramel and honey notes. It's tasty.
Yeah, it's quite
It is.
tasty.
We enjoy it. There's a toastiness, a roastiness, a warmth to it, but it's not too heavy. So it's wee, just wee heavy.
Just
And
wee.
so
Still a
we
wee
have
bit heavy.
Yeah. So you could have this in warmer weather or cooler weather. It's a multi-season darker beer.
Yes.
and it's been very popular. Very
Good.
popular.
Good.
That's
Because
good,
it's
yeah.
really, it's not one of the cool kid styles right now, you know? So it's nice to hear that it's popular in the tap rooms, you know, that people are drinking this again. Maybe it's
Absolutely.
coming back around.
Well, you know, I think this is a style that frequently has a bit of smoked malt in it. Does this have smoked malt in the grain bill, or
This one does not have smoked malt.
I-
This is like a middle of the road recipe as far as wee heavy goes. There was a really good article about how wee heavies are designed and what goes into them. I think it was in the Brew Your Own magazine last year, and I looked at that, and they had stuff kind of across the board for what makes the style. I was like, I want one that's like representative of the style. And in the middle, it doesn't actually have smoked malt, even though it's it's common for people to say that. It turns out it doesn't actually have smoked malt.
Oh,
Okay.
I always thought it did. And the reason I was saying that is I think that there's a growing interest in smoked beers again, or smoked malts in beer again. I've seen more of that recently than I have in quite a while, honestly. So I thought, well, there would be possibly a resurgence of interest in this beer, as it is kind of a light entryway beer for a lot of people for smokiness. So
Cool.
but this one doesn't have it, but it's a good beer nonetheless, Tim.
Hey, even without the smoke
Yes.
malt, Sterling, it gets Brian
That's right.
seal of approval there.
Yeah, I was just trying to work in some smoked beer talk, honestly.
Okay, fair enough, man, fair enough. You know, I generally like smoked beers. I like a little smoke malt in a beer where maybe it's not even mentioned that there's smoke malt in it, where it's just a little hint of a note, where it's not
It's like adds
defining
depth to
characteristic.
the flavor, right?
Yeah, a big stout, something like that with a little smoke. Oh, wee heavy with a little smoky note, but it's I'm not like a big smoke fan. But again, when we talked to was it Switchback?
That's right,
When we
Switchback.
talked
Yep.
to them, they turned me a little bit because of their approach to smoke. So I can't say I'm a total hater, just not a huge fan.
It has to be like an element as a part of the palate that you're using to construct the beer. If it's the entire beer, just smoke, it's a one note thing.
Still
You're not
love
going to
it.
be.
Well,
I
we
would
have-
love it,
We
but-
have done a smoked beer, but
Yes.
not as Kettlerock. We have on a homebrew scale done a
Yes.
smoked beer before, where we actually smoked the malt ourselves.
Oh,
Yes.
And
Okay.
we
Okay.
smoked it with bacon,
Yes.
and it made an
Go on.
amazing high gravity porter. And it turns out that this was really inspired by the Dank Tank series that
Sweetwater.
Sweetwater does.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they made it called pulled porter
Pulled porter
with
Twice.
Fox
yeah.
Brothers.
Fox Brothers.
Twice
That's
they did
right.
that.
Yeah,
And that was the inspiration, and it was really good.
because I think they actually put the malt on the smokers at Fox.
They did.
Brothers,
Yeah, with
like
the-
they
with
put
the
smoke in the
fatback.
butts, right?
Yeah, with the
they did
fatback.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
In our case, we put it on the grill, and fortunately or unfortunately, we're sampling a number of beers that night, and it was supposed to go 4 hours, I think.
Okay.
And around midnight, we said, "Whoops, it was a little longer than 4 hours, but that's okay." And it turned out just great.
That's good. You know,
Still turned out great.
I like to smoke things. I've done smoked salt, which is great on various meats, you know, smoke all kinds of stuff. And I did smoked cheese, but just FYI, if you smoke cheese, you have to cold smoke cheese because
It's gonna
It
melt.
tends to melt.
cheese at 250 will melt. You know, just a heads up.
Yes,
there.
it
So
will. Yes, it
when I
will.
had a
Melt it right on top of
Smoked
your meat.
tray full, yeah. So, and you've ever done something that like the instant you see the results of it, you're like, you know, I really should have known that.
Why didn't I
did
guess
know
that?
Should have
I
been
should've
smoked
just guessed
nachos.
If I'd had some chips underneath
Yeah,
there, I'd
smoked
been making
nachos.
magic.
Everything on there would be smoked. The
Yeah.
chips, the the toppings, everything. It'd been
See.
fantastic.
Genius, real minute genius.
That's
there,
right.
Brian. Well,
Yes,
Stephen,
indeed.
Kettlerock Brewing. You told us kind of the story of the name. So there's a mountain, Kettlerock, or a Kettlerock is the geological
So how about start at the
formation,
top?
right?
You want me to start to be? Kettlerock is actually a mountain in North Carolina.
Okay.
It's not a huge mountain, but it is a mountain in North Carolina. Kettlerock is also a geological formation where a glacier carves a bowl into the rock, or a kettle into the rock. So it's Kettlerock. And as I mentioned before, our beer is brewed in kettles and it'll rock your taste buds.
Right. And that's how you got Brian to
That's
suggest
right.
open the kettle and you get a guitar riff played.
There you go. There
There's
you go.
got to be speakers you can mount inside the brew kettle that are heat resistant and water resistant. I imagine they're there. It's not that tall of an order, right?
Sterling, how long do you think it'd take you to get sick of a guitar riff every time you got in your kettle? There?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 2 brew days.
So, yeah.
Or maybe you can just play out in the tap room, like every time. Oh, somebody's getting into the brew kettle.
Yeah. They'll love that.
Oh, they
They'll
will.
love it there. Because then Sterling would just sit there and torture him, just keep opening.
You
and
just-
closing it there. Yeah, awesome.
Be like remixing it.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, I'm gonna let you ask this one. There's something about rocket science there.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
found.
yeah. I was looking around on your social media and I saw a reference to you, Sterling, being a rocket scientist, like a side job or
That's
something
like
like
a
that.
side
A
job.
side
Okay.
hustle as a rocket.
Yeah,
scientist.
what's
Oh my
going
God.
on there?
So let's go back to everyone has a full-time job. I'm the only one that's full-time because I guess I retired last year.
At Kettlerock.
And then
Allegedly.
now I'm allegedly, and now
Right.
my full-time job is Kettlerock. Everyone else has in the family All 4 kids. My wife has a full-time job. Sterling has his full-time job, and as a rocket scientist, now you can explain your.
Okay. I feel like I've been put on a pedestal or something.
It sounds pretty cool, Sterling.
It does
I can't
sound
wait to
very
hear
cool.
this.
So I actually, my day job is I work for Georgia Tech. I work in the aerospace engineering department at Georgia Tech, and I work for the Space Systems Design Lab. That's an organization, and I am the manager for the Flight Hardware Lab. That's a space. I know they're both labs. That's a little confusing, but what that means is that a lot of the hardware that goes to space that is built on the academic side, meaning not the research group, but Georgia Tech proper, goes through my lab at Georgia Tech. And we build CubeSats. We've had a number of CubeSats that have gone through. We build, there's a professor, actually the one I typically work with, does propulsion systems, and that's where the rocket science comes in. We're building, in fact, we just shipped a propulsion system for the Lunar Flashlight mission, which is a JPL mission. JPL is a part of NASA, and the Lunar Flashlight mission is going on the Artemis 1 rocket to the moon to look at the polar ice caps and try to find water on the moon. So
crazy.
Wow.
So that's the I'm a rocket scientist. My degree is actually computer science, and what I do is make sure that these things work, and I provide the support that's required for students specifically, and typically grad students, but also undergraduate students and researchers that are working on these things, to make sure that technically they will work.
That's pretty darn cool.
And I like to brag that 2 years ago when the Falcon Heavy went up, Elon Musk Falcon Heavy, the first commercial flight had 3 CubeSats that went through his lab that were on it.
That's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. Now, CubeSat, are we talking cube satellites? Is that what that is?
So the nomenclature CubeSat specifically means a 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter unit. And they come, so that's a U, and they come in different sizes, 1, 2, 1.5, 3, 6, 12. But they're basically, the size that you can hold between your hands.
And these are satellites that go into orbit and all that?
That's right.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
Stuff.
Here, I thought it might have been an exaggeration. It's like, no, there's really stuff going into space on rockets and everything.
Have you sent any yeast or malt up or anything that yet?
I have been really interested in some of the experiments that have gone to, among other places, the International Space Station, but I have not had the opportunity to put yeast on my own missions. There is a mission that we supported that's called BioSentinel, which is using yeast as a tool to understand how radiation affects humans outside of the Earth's magnetic protection. So
that's crazy.
So
this is fascinating stuff. I'm enjoying this almost as much as beer.
Almost as much as beer.
Well, you're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show, but we'll be back more soon. Real soon. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We need to take a break, but we'll be back real soon to talk more with Kettlerock Brewing. Hey, Joey, fix this in post. Thanks.
I was about to ask if that gets fixed in post.
Yeah, we try not to make him do that, but
I didn't have a chance to get into smoking malts up in space because that seemed like a natural segue from the.
Did it though?
Yeah.
Did it?
Does malt smoke as well in space?
Are either of you IPA guys?
I am.
Brian is across the board an IPA guy, West Coast, East Coast, South Coast. I like I don't like bitterness.
Okay.
So that's my thing.
Probably not that one.
Well, but
Brian can have that one.
What's this one? But it's designed like a New England IPA, so it's not crazy.
Should be too.
But it's real dank.
Because every now and then, I do like dank.
Dank is nice.
You know what my favorite is? It's kind of a slight bitterness, citrus, and dank. Citrus, tropical, dank. Those combinations together, I really like.
Okay, so we still have the kettle sour, the seltzer lager if we care.
Smoked
Seltzer
nachos.
lager. Seltzer basically if we care about it.
See?
Tripping hazard, and the milk
I think we should
stouts.
try that.
The triple is real good. I'm just
Yes, for
Okay,
sure.
Cool.
it took
It took its sweet time to get here.
Adam
Oh,
Bishop.
yeah.
Adam Bishop wanted to say
Yeah.
hello,
Okay,
and
cool,
he's
cool.
been our brewery consultant.
Good deal.
And he
Awesome.
after I said it's going to be ready next weekend, it's going to be ready next weekend. He finally said the beer is going to tell you when it's ready.
That's right. The beer. Let the beer speak.
So 40 some odd days.
Okay. Wow.
As I'm tasting as we're going through this, I'm thinking it's ready, and he's going not yet.
No, not yet. It's not ready yet. It's
So-
not ready
I
yet.
haven't seen
It
Adam
has
in a bit.
now
I
No,
guess
I haven't either.
we traded some emails and different things back and forth, but because that old pandemic thing,
I know we should be moving on, but I'm still sipping on the wee
I
heavy.
got seconds. Yeah.
Kill that crowler, man.
And Devin is correct. Smoked nachos are great.
Hey, there you go. I'm gonna open the tripping hazard because I think sequentially it makes the most sense.
Let's do
So
it.
that you
I'm
don't
on
end
board
up
with that.
with
And we can always reuse like the tasters over here. I mean, I can give mine a rinse or whatever if need be.
All right. Let's
Lavender lemon.
Oh, I think they got
We
enough
did,
this time.
5.
What did we do? Blueberry lavender. The mead we made.
Yeah, we did a very small
lavender mead.
blueberry lavender. I think it was blueberry lavender vanilla,
I
possibly.
think you're right.
And I got that idea from. I don't think the place is still there.
Bacchanalia chef, wasn't
Is it? Yeah, I think it was Bacchanalia.
Chef
Yeah, I was
Bacchanalia.
talking to him, and I was at
Is
the time.
Bacchanalia gone?
Maybe it's still
I
there.
don't think so. Yeah.
I thought it might have been the place prior to that, if there
Didn't
was
they
a
do
place.
like a whole pig
Yes.
roasting seminar?
They had
type
a
of
celebrity
thing?
chef come in and chop up a whole pig. I forget
Yeah.
this
Need
which
5.
celebrity chef it was.
That's the way to do it.
Do you? I
All
was gonna say we-
here go.
No, that's mine.
That's yours.
Yes.
All righty. There we go.
I say that because I've been drinking.
Okay.
from it.
Good enough.
All right, that one
Yep.
must be mine.
that
All
one's
right.
yours.
Man, Belgian beers. Once upon a time, man, that was probably 80% of my drinking. Back in the early days of Georgia beer when
Oh yeah.
we only had 2 or 3 breweries or whatever here.
Right.
Yeah.
Back when you used to look
before
at
we brewed, before we homebrewed.
back when you used to go to restaurants or bars or whatever, you look at the list like what imports do they have? That was the good beer was the import beer. Now
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
there. That was when I really started drinking beer. It was like, how do I get something that says it's from Belgium? Because those are the ones I actually want to drink.
yeah, exactly right. Well, because everything else was just the macros. It was the same old, same old. So you get that anywhere. You get excited when you went to a place that actually had a few.
We're
I was
going
like,
into 3,
oh my goodness, they got
correct?
Chimay. I believe we are going into 3.
Yeah, I can see you have delirium up there.
Yes.
Oh, we do, yeah.
That's
I think
one
that's
of
a
my.
special version too.
I believe so. That
That's
was
the pink one with that all the
delirium
the
tremens. Yeah.
there was a
Well.
yeah that well I mean if you
I see a link there. It says for
25th?
Tim. I wonder what.
Oh, that's a 25th anniversary
oh,
one. I think.
anniversary one. Yeah.
A
Yeah,
Reddit
that's-
smoking. I'm
Okay.
assuming it's smoking
All right. I have to
meats
check it
and
out,
things
man.
like that.
Picture my melted cheese. I think I may have
Yeah.
posted it. I'll find out
That's right.
later there.
Hey, I tried smoking some cheese. Check it. Check it
Yes,
out.
Gosh. Way to go, Tim. Smoked meats. We did have I used to be really into cigars. Brian is still a cigar guy.
I am, yeah.
But we had a get together at my house. I guess it's been, oh hell, Brian, that's been 8, 9, 10 years ago, I guess at this point.
Probably like 2010, 2011,
Yeah.
maybe.
But
something
one
like
of our
that.
online forums were all of our cigar buddies. So people came in from over the country. I guess we had about 15 people there. And one of my buddies worked for, I think it's Darden Restaurant Group. They're the parent company of like
Olive Garden, right?
Olive Garden, Red Lobster, one of the steakhouses, Lone Star, one of those. Anyhow, he got us a case of baby backs.
Ooh.
So, and I
Ooh.
think it's like 14 or 16 racks in a case for them. He's like, how many should we smoke?
Obviously,
all of them. All of
right?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Obvious.
I got my smoker there with the vertical racks, just ribs on ribs on ribs. And it was It was a great day for mankind.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Is it a green egg?
No, mine was just like a barrel smoker.
Was this before
So-
green eggs were a thing? I bet you
think
it
may have
was.
been pre-green egg hotness. Yeah.
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 Green egg, a bunch of green egg guys came
Yeah.
over
Mhm.
to Kettlerock and was checking us out. So
I know the folks that are into green eggs, it's almost a religion,
it is
like for the people that really like them. And I know, and
Yeah.
it's not, they'll bake bread, they'll cook pizzas, I think, christen babies in them and just all kinds of stuff. They're
Yeah.
very useful, versatile.
Was it 10 years ago ish that they had somebody came to the owner, the CEO, and said, I think we should invite a bunch of folks with green eggs to come and share their recipes and all this. And the guy's going, are you sure? And like 50 people showed up
Right?
for the first one. And like 200 people showed up the next year. And then
Sure.
now it's huge.
Big conference. Yeah, exactly.
Is this the one in Stone Mountain?
They go to different, in fact, they go to different places, and there's one that they did, they tend to do it now at breweries, and they did one recently at Sweetwater.
See, we did a couple years ago, we did a show with the Z Club, Z Car Collectors.
Oh,
And I
that's
forget,
right.
but it was kind of the same thing. There's little chapters around. My buddy's a Z car guy, and but the national chapter, I mean, it was a huge thing. I never would have realized everything's got its fandom, and I
Right.
never would have realized that these, like, especially like the 70s and 80s model Z cars and that,
Right.
people are passionate about those. You know,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
these guys
Yeah.
get in, they compete with them. They'll buy one, they'll restore it, they'll sell it so they can buy another one to restore it, and get their favorites and that. So
They're cool.
I mean, I guess that's good for the value of those cars if you
Sure.
like them, and
Sure.
yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting how people get into a thing, a really niche thing that you'd never, as an outsider, have no idea about until you get into it. And you're like, oh my goodness, there's so much going on here.
Absolutely. And everything out there that you see probably has, like you said, a niche to it that people are passionate about this little element of it there.
And our
That's kinda
vision
cool.
at Kettlerock is to be the niche for the community.
The
to
community,
come
yeah.
And enjoy the tap room, enjoy the space, enjoy the community. We had 6 people, two black guys, 2, I think they were Middle Eastern, and then a guy and his wife. None of them knew the pairs knew each other.
Right.
But within about half an hour to an hour, they're all talking to
Sure,
each other
sure.
and having a good time, and just that's the sort of thing we're looking for Kettlerock to be for Peachtree Corners.
Those smaller groups, when you have, say, half a dozen people, they really foster that kind of everybody getting to know each other thing. Reminds me of the time we were actually at the Nest, speaking of the Nest a little earlier, but we were sitting at the bar there, and Westbrook Mexican Cake had just hit Georgia. And this was a few years ago when the hype was a little higher for that
Yeah,
beer.
exactly.
But then our buddy Nate was working at the Nest at the time. He's like, hey, man, I've got Mexican Cake here. So I'm like, well, we'll take a bottle. Let's get it. So we get it and we share it. There's a couple people sitting next to us. I'm like, hey, you want a pour of this? And they're like, what is it? They hadn't even heard of it. So we told them, like, yeah, I'd love to try it. So they got in. Everybody's talking. We're talking at the bar. Another guy walks in and sees everybody talking and passing around this bottle and staring at it. He's like, hey, what is that? What's all the ruckus about here? And we told him the bottle was empty at the time. And Nate's like, I've got one more. The guy's like, well, I'll take that one then. So he gets that one and passes it around.
Pass them around.
So we got 6 or 8 people that had no idea who each other was.
Exactly.
Now we're buddies sharing bottles. Except Brian, he didn't share. He was hiding in the corner.
Me?
You know how
Was
you
I?
are.
Well, yeah, probably.
No.
It depends. I vaguely recall that, and I may have been at the edge of the bar, but
Vaguely recall that?
yeah, it's been a little while.
Really? Okay.
How long
there's-
has it been? It's like 4 years, maybe.
Well, here's the reason I say this. We talk about this every year because there's a funny picture that was taken of me at the incident.
Yeah.
Where there were 2 bottles.
Oh, was that the Mexican Cake? Oh, yeah, I remember that part.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Then you did the same thing at Wicked Weed many
I did not.
prior. Oh no, you
I
just
did not.
posed it, but you didn't actually. That's right.
No, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I think you posed with 2 different bottles, like many years ago when we went to Wicked Weed the one time.
No, sir.
Did you not?
No. I have a picture of Wicked Weed where I'm drinking beer while it's still attached to the lambic basket / board.
Oh, maybe
where I
that's
just
what
picked
that
up the
is.
whole board and drank off of it with my pinky out.
I could swear that there have been multiple occasions where you had double-decker beers that you were drinking from beyond that one. So
I don't recall that. It could be, but
I
the
believe
point
so.
of this
Yes.
with the Mexican cake was I stacked the bottles on top of each other, and I thought one was empty and one still had beer in it.
Mhm.
Well, I got them backwards as to which was which.
So you poured it in your face.
So the picture catch it, and whoever took the picture took it at the right time. You see me squinting as Mexican cake is poured directly into my nose. So, yeah,
Oh man.
good stuff. So I didn't choke to death, nearly, but I made it out of it.
nearly survived.
I
Oh, you
nearly
did survive.
survived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nearly survived.
Nearly didn't survive. Wait,
All right.
hang on a second.
So close. So close. Shall we get back into it? What do we want to pour
Sure.
next, Stephen or Sterling?
We still have the Mountain House.
So it looks like we're at Mountain House, variable conditions, and high humidity, which is the hazy.
Do we want to have you poured the IPA yet?
I have not.
Okay.
Oh, we can
We can do that.
humidity. Sure.
Let's do that.
Yeah, why not?
I know Brian will want to try that one for sure.
Absolutely. Do we need to start recycling glassware, or are you still? It looks like we're still good. I lost track of it. We're 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, another more love for the nest.
Oh,
there. More
Duchess.
love for the nest.
Do they have Duchesse de Bourgogne?
The Duchess.
I do love that beer.
That
the
was
Nest?
like
Do
your
they have it?
first sour love, wasn't it?
I think so. That was kind of my
Yeah.
kind of my gateway into sours, where I decided that I now like sour beer.
Duchess de Bourgogne.
I believe that's where I started. There was one other one that was in the same vein. They turned out to both be like Flemish reds or Flanders beers. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like Rodenbach and stuff like
I
that.
think one of them. I think the other one was Rodenbach that I had. I'm like, I like these beers. These
I
are great.
love those beers, and that Devin's talking about that because that's one that we used to drink when we were getting into beer, and it was like, oh, this is like it's expensive and it's in this fancy bottle and it's really cool and it tastes good and it's red. It's not like a pale beer, and yeah. And then he tells me later, he's like, oh, I used to go buy it every time he saw it. And then he would tell me, oh, I forgot that I didn't actually really like this beer, but I love the name.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
see?
keep buying it. And I'm like, oh, well, that's fine. Just keep giving them to me because I really like it.
Why do I keep buying this?
It's like that's why there's Untapped. You rate the beer and remind yourself later, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, love the name, didn't like the beer.
Is
I think
that
it's a
the
great beer.
Duchess?
The
Was
Duchess.
the Duchess
The
the one
Duchess.
that? Okay, gotcha.
The
How can you
Duchess.
not like the Duchess?
I like the Duchess, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine then. It's fine.
So Duchess, I'll be honest, Duchess always reminds me a little of barbecue sauce.
Yeah, I
And
can see
so,
that.
So that is the tough thing for me is that one always the particular spot it hits in for me always makes me think of barbecue sauce.
And I saw that I could when he said it, I could see it. Like, I get that. I'm like trying to think about it though because that just ruins it for
You
me.
don't want to think of your,
I don't
yeah,
want to think
right.
about that. I mean, something about the
I'm
idea
gonna
of
think
actually
about
just drinking
barrels and sour
Sure.
beer. And
Yep.
acetobacter, man. Focus in on that acetobacter.
That's
That
right.
that sour
Get
there.
in
Mm.
it.
Mm.
Cool. Let's
All
do
right,
it, Nathan.
3.
You got his, right?
1 second, guys. Give it. What was it? What were you
I was
asking?
going to say, you got yours, right?
You did get it.
Yeah.
Yours. Yep. Okay. Cool.
I'll be sure you were there.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
What in tarnation?
Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I want to give a quick shout out to one of our great radio affiliates, KBDB HD3 96.7 FM in Forks, Washington. Catch Beer Guys Radio on KBDB every Saturday at 2 p.m. local time. Now let's get back to Kettlerock Brewing.
Sterling, I'm going to ask you about this, and we're into your IPA here. Which one are we drinking? Which IPA is this one?
This one is high humidity.
High humidity. Can you tell us about this one?
Yeah. So this was intended to be sort of a New England style kind of IPA. It turns out it's not. It's super hazy. If you're looking at it, it's pretty much opaque. But it uses a lot of Idaho 7 and some Simcoe. And it turns out I'd never used Idaho 7 before I made this beer.
Okay.
And so I didn't realize what I was getting into. And it turns out it's very polarizing in the tap room. It turns out that people either just absolutely love it, want it to be even more hoppy than it is, or they look at it and say, you got something that's not quite like that?
Yeah. Do you have a beer that's not this beer? So
You're in luck.
yeah. So for my personal palate, this one's kind of grassy. It's got a little bitter bite to it.
Right.
Not my preferred flavor profile. Just I want the juicy tropical in that, maybe some
Right.
grapefruit and orange
Right.
and stuff. So just not my personal preference. Brian, what do you think of it?
I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's what
solid.
I
It's
figured.
interesting. Looking at it, I was expecting more of those tropical notes, so I'm a little surprised by some of the intensity of the hops, and it does seem like that's a little bit a spike. But I can see why that would be really enjoyable for a lot of people that are into the bitter, into the IPA. So I think it's a good beer. I think it'd be interesting to see what you can do with another hop, in this beer, or maybe adapt this to.
I'd change the name. I wouldn't call it a hazy IPA because I think people automatically think Northeast soft tropical.
Well,
no
yeah.
bitterness.
So
call it a
that's-
hazy West Coast.
Well, hazy West Coast.
There you go.
But
Yeah.
it
There you
doesn't
go. Nailed
seem
it.
as floral as some of the West Coast ones that I really like. And I have a West Coast one coming, and I also have a much juicier, much less dank version of this that's coming. That's going to be a really labeled as New England style.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it'll have a place. But there's when you go look at the how do I put this into Untapped so people can find it? Well, it's opaque. It's hard to call it a standard IPA, but it doesn't really quite fit in any of the hazy listed categories.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an orphan beer almost in that respect.
And the other-
calling a beer a hazy IPA, that shouldn't. I mean, hazy is just a descriptor of the visuals, but as you know from the beer crowd these days, there's a lot of other expectations.
Comes with
People go into a beer
expectations.
when they hear
Right.
hazy.
Right.
So when people don't like this, and we had the float trip,
Okay.
that was
Yeah.
the session IPA, and actually the homebrew version of that 2 years ago won second place at the Swanee Beer Fest. So-
Okay. Cool. Cool.
So that one, again, it was very popular, and we're sold out.
See.
So
Just have
There
to
you
brew
go.
some more.
we'll have to brew some more.
So I'm curious what you did. You have the New England style. You said that what about this recipe did you change, or did you just completely retool the recipe?
So I have a different hop that I'm using for the New England style. I'm not using Idaho 7. Is what it
Okay.
boils down to.
So really, it's Idaho 7 that's the polarizing factor in this beer.
Oh yeah,
Gotcha,
Idaho
got
7
it,
has a
yes.
very distinctive profile. It's a pretty new hop. It's actually very good in my opinion. It's just it's not what people are expecting out of a New England IPA. So you kind of have to be, when people come into the tap room and say, "Oh, I like IPAs. What have you got that's IPAs?" versus "I want the hoppiest thing you have."
Right.
If they come in with that attitude, they probably want this. But if they come in with the, "Oh, well, I kind of like IPAs," it's probably not the one they want.
when they say things like, I don't like dark beers, or I only drink lagers.
Oh no! Well, then
Yes.
then you're pointing at Trailhead.
Then that's
There
Trailhead.
you go. See,
That's
That's
Trailhead.
you've got it covered. Then you're ready for them, huh?
Yes.
You mentioned Sterling too. So how often is that an issue for you? How many times do you go to the drawing board before you say, this is what I want? Do you have a pilot brew system?
I don't have a pilot brew system now. I did have I was doing homebrewing right at the homebrew scale. So in this case, I was not expecting, I was not familiar with this hop, and I was expecting it to be something it wasn't. That's not very common. Usually I have a better idea of what I'm going to get than this. And in this case, I was trying to get anything that I could use to make an IPA, because we're in a position where we can't
You don't have
contract
those
hops.
contracts, do you?
No, we can't contract
no
hops.
contracts. Yeah.
So we're trying to get anything we can get off of the hop market, and we were able to get Idaho 7. So it was one of this kind of big nebulous list of cool hops. So I went and got that, and then I wasn't quite expecting it to be what it was.
Right. You got to scrounge the hops. So when you see Kettlerock's DDH with Fuggles,
With Fuggles.
like you got to do what you got to
With
do.
EKG.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's EKG is a high usage hop for us.
And we
See?
got some- we
Usually
got
don't
some-
usually double dry hop it, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
got some EKG today.
that's right.
Delivered
Yeah.
today.
You know what? I imagine some of like maybe English style IPAs, maybe they would dry hop with that possibly. I
Well,
don't
there's
even
definitely
know.
stuff.
Yeah.
Italian pills.
Oh, there we
You
go.
do
Yeah,
Italian
yeah.
pills with like
I was
the
just thinking
continental
about
hops.
Yeah, I was just thinking of like, I would like to try some of that. It's like we probably have under the guise of Italian pills or Italian style pilsners, which are fairly popular right now.
They're cool right now.
Yeah,
the cool
they're
kids are
cool.
drinking them at this time. Yeah.
Indeed.
So, Stephen, we talked a little bit about it earlier. Stephen, Peet, Sterling, Peet. You mentioned
Thank you.
you've got the whole family's involved with this, right? 6.
Yes.
Is it 6 Peets?
Yes, there is.
Okay. How is it?
And some of the spouses as well.
Okay. Peet by association, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
so,
right.
Partial Pete's.
We joke that if you get involved with the Peet family, you probably get assimilated and
You're
become
there,
a Peet.
right?
So
Okay. Gotcha.
Sean
It's like the
Sean
board.
called me and said today, and he said, "Hey, this is Sean Peet."
See, there you go. He's part
He
of the
mentioned
family
that in
now.
the comments up
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yes. How is it working with the entire family?
It can be difficult at times, as you can imagine with any family, but in general, it works out very well. We're a very
Yeah.
close family.
There's a very high level of expectation of success.
Okay.
And
there is.
everyone follows through, and sometimes there's abrasion along the way.
Well, that's
but it works.
Brian can tell you working with me that I am the most flexible and easygoing guy
Oh,
that there is. Isn't? So, I can now. You know what? I get things that I want a certain way, and it's in my head, and I can get snappy, nippy, just because I have a thought in my head, and it's not
Go on.
intentional,
Yes,
not meant
go
to
on.
be. Yeah, I know. But
Tell me more.
I guess you do have to be, patient, understanding, work well together, and all that to get that because you don't want the family moving off to the four corners of the country and not talking anymore.
Exactly. And our family along the way, we've been as parents involved with the kids, but we haven't been helicopter parents. We've been a part of scouting, a part of the schools, a part of sports. And typically we're there. And if they want us, then they more or less have to come to us most of the time.
Gotcha.
As opposed to the helicopter parents that are, I'm going to make sure that my kid does this or whatever.
Is he telling?
Yeah, well, what usually happens is
honest
something
here?
to the effect of, "Hey, so I've been playing hockey under this coach for a year now. Have you thought about being a coach? Because you'd be better at it than this guy. I mean, you actually are decent at this stuff. I'm tired of
And
this
is that
crappy
how you
coach."
became a hockey coach?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly, right?
How many seasons did you coach?
I don't know. It was like 15 seasons. All the kids have been involved in youth roller hockey.
Okay, cool.
And including my niece who came to live with us her last 2 years in high school.
So kind of mandatory then.
Sounds like
I
you need
don't-
to fit some hockey theme into some of the beers, right?
Maybe.
Well, Devin certainly is real into it, and most of them have been goalies. So
Okay.
that's a part of it. Defense, so all that sort of good stuff. It's been fun.
It's fun playing with the themes. I think that
The best part was one time when I was able to be not only on the team, but on the team, the roller hockey team with Devin and Krista and Taylor. All four of us run the same.
Rec league
That's
team.
good
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm sure nobody was saying, "Hey, it's a little skewed. You're favoring them." Like it's all the Pete's.
It's
like this is
there's
the
no way this
team
can be
Pete.
level.
No, there's no way
Yeah.
this is on the level here.
Did you hockey, Brian?
I did
Up
not,
in-
no.
in- or Oregon.
You know, in the West Coast, not so much an ice and cold place, you know,
Just
and skating.
cool and glum, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Georgia's one of those places.
Right. Georgia is. Exactly.
You know, yeah, you make a good point. You make a good point.
Hockey love. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are going to take a break, but we'll be back very soon to talk with Kettlerock Brewing.
Yeah, another example is band camp. So all the kids were in band, in high school band, and so I was a band. My wife and I were band camp parents, if you
Okay.
will. I went to 11 band camps in a row,
Probably, yeah.
and while I was there, if they wanted to be on my hall, cool. If they didn't, cool. If they
Yeah.
wanted to see me, come find me. I'm around. I'm the one. I did the ice stuff, so I'd go get all the ice, and I'd be one of the guys out there pouring ice in their thermoses. If they wanted to come see me, obviously I'm pouring ice. You can come see me.
Find me. The Iceman coming.
That's right.
So instead of helicopter parenting, he's more of a drone parent, monitoring from a distance,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's the thing.
I mean,
Zamboni
to be
doors.
honest, it was usually like,
The Zamboni.
man, this other parent is so obnoxious. Can we be on your hall? You're not nearly as obnoxious.
My family was a big scouting family. So my mom was den mother for several years. My dad was the actual troop leader. And when I got older, I was the Webelos leader
You want more of this guy?
for my stepson. So went through all of that. So
Actually, yeah.
long history of
You got it
scouting
right
for us
there.
too. So my dad.
So my wife and I were scout leaders for 20 years.
Okay. Yeah.
And she started out, well, no, I guess it was Sterling started out as the first scout, and then I was supposed to help as the den leader. And we started mid-year kind of thing as a Tiger Scout. And at the end of the year, it's like, I like what the Cub Master's doing. So I want to help out with the Cub Master.
Yeah.
And I volunteered to be assistant Cub Master. 1 month in, the Cub Master left, and I was the Cub Master.
There you go.
Lucky you.
What you get. I'll admit, I got drug into it, and I recently moved to Atlanta, and my job was very busy, and wife and stepson, and we went to a meeting at the school. They were kicking off scouts, and we wanted to get, the boy involved in the stuff here, but I was like, I'm busy, and they asked for volunteers. They're like, we really need some leaders here. Can we get? And my wife goes, you should do it. You went all through scouts. And so they're like, oh my God. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
but
no.
I tell you what,
I mean,
you know what?
Sorry,
And,
you're an
and
Eagle
respect. I did my Arrow of Light, did the crossover with Webelos
Okay.
and that, but never went on to Boy
Okay.
Scouts. So,
Oh,
I went that far with it. And, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Had some good memories, moments with that. There were two kids. One kid, his family moved here from China, and his sister, who was probably late teens, spoke English, but neither of his parents did. We did our Pinewood Derby, and he comes in with this car, just the most chopped up looking car, but he'd soaked the wheels in like Crisco.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, man, the whole car was oily. So we had to clean it up and fix it. The weight was off, and we got him set. And we just helped the kid a lot through things. And I think it was the last meeting with them, or close to one of the last ones. The father came up with the daughter, and he had her translate, but said something like, you don't know how much this has meant to him, having this group here and that, because we are new to the country. We can't do a lot because we don't speak the language. I'm like, all right, now I feel like a jerk for not wanting to do this. So it was just, something.
I do have to brag. All my boys are Eagle
Yeah,
Scouts.
That's awesome. Yeah.
My daughter is a Gold Award.
Cool.
Person.
Is that a Girl Scout Gold Award?
Gold Award is the Eagle equivalent.
Okay, cool.
And,
Awesome.
And my niece, when she came to live with us,
Mhm.
we had the same Eagle/Boy Scout rule that some parents do, that you have to get your Eagle or your Gold.
Putting the pressure on you there, huh? All right. Yeah. What
You
was
can
your
wait.
project? Don't you have to have a big community project to get
You do. So mine was mine was complicated in
Yes,
a couple
it was
of
very
weird ways, but ultimately it ended up being that I went to the it was
The
Gwinnett,
dam.
right? It was at the Beaufort Dam. It was they had a education system thing that
like
they
when
do
they're
there.
down.
And
yeah.
and so I built this like sandbox and this just like
Board?
bulletin board sort of
Okay.
thing, outdoor bulletin board that they could use to do like simulated dinosaur digs and stuff
Oh,
like
that's
that.
cool. Okay.
Yeah, and that was most of it. That was most of the
It was
actual
for the
resulting
community.
project
It was
from
funny because he's
3 years of messing around with trying to do some sort of like gym at the local park that didn't work out 3 times in a row.
the funniest one was you were going to do the one on the roller rink, right?
I did some stuff at the roller rink as part of that.
he was supposed, one of the things he proposed was to correctly put the markings on the rink at the roller rink.
Okay.
Oh, I
gotcha.
did do
All
that.
right.
Yes.
And then when they got around to it, they said, "Oh no, you can't do that. We need to have a professional do it." So they did, and he did it wrong.
Incorrectly
See,
again.
It's like,
There you go.
you gotta
There
be
you
kidding
go.
me. We knew what to do.
See,
I'm like, really? Okay.
good. You guys hired a professional.
Yeah, good thing you got. Yeah.
So we're coming in the last segment. Did we already bring
I
up
think,
what we might want to talk about?
guys, what do we
Yeah.
want to make sure to let people know about Kettlerock as we wrap up here?
The thing that I pointed out at the beginning that not necessarily, I mean, we are a family business and all that. I think we
Mhm.
talked about that, but they're really into the compassionate part of the community.
All right, let's.
All
So
that.
we'll definitely talk community here.
Community, nature, and the environment. We finally connected with
Now I'm
He's-
recycling glasses.
a guy who can deal with
Oh.
our spent grain.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep.
And so we're actually going to be having him pick it up
That's his. Yeah.
instead of putting it in the trash.
What kind of critters is he feeding it to?
He's got 3,000 free range chickens. He's
Okay.
got goats. He's got,
I think it made
what are the things that the alapas are like llamas?
Alpacas.
Alpacas.
Alpacas,
That's it. He's
that's
got some
cool.
of those. And I forget what else.
I have a dog that
Okay.
loves spent grain. She probably can't eat like a whole brewery's worth, but she's a fan.
Should try.
We've actually done spent grain dog biscuits,
Oh,
and
yeah. I love it.
and the dogs love them.
Yeah, my dog
But-
loves those. So
You can't do 5 barrels worth of spent grain
right, exactly.
for dog biscuits
Yep.
because it's just not that many dogs.
I was at Burnt Hickory
Well, there are. It just takes a lot of effort to like
to make them.
freaking biscuits.
Yeah,
That's a lot of oven time.
Burnt Hickory had a hog farmer. It may have been pigs and cattle that he gave it to, but one time the farmer came up there and made like pork burgers from the pork that had eaten the grain.
That's his.
And I'm like, I don't know, is this awesome
What
or
about-
wrong? That
That's
time.
his.
It's the. Oh, is this his?
That one's
This is his. Okay. There you go.
And then this one's yours.
That was mine. Okay.
I bet that pig would have been good on some smoked nachos, Brian.
Yeah, heck yeah, he was. Especially if you smoked him on top of the cheese, on
Right.
top of the
Yeah.
nachos.
Smoke the grain, feed the smoked grain to the pigs. Smoke them, make nachos. The pigs are
Smoking them as you're feeding them, and
Yeah.
then
The pigs are smoked from the inside.
So this is the mountain house that you had before the tripping house.
Okay, cool. That's tasty. Yeah, nice, light, drinkable stout. Only 4.2 on this one, huh?
Yes.
Cool.
And it's a milk stout, so it has the lactose in it.
Did you take your pills, Brian?
I did. I took.
Okay,
I took
all
one with
right.
the very first shot of it.
Brian's got to take his lactose.
I hit my
intolerance
lactate.
pills there.
It helps.
Yeah.
It helps with digestion. It's not deadly for me to consume it without. It's more pleasant if I do.
I was gonna say
You know,
It's
uncomfortable.
unpleasant for everyone else.
It's mostly me, honestly, but a little bit for the wife.
Right.
Usually,
Yeah, I luck out. It usually doesn't hit you until we're done
it's
here.
usually
right?
after the
Then you
fact.
get to
You
go
know,
home.
head back after a bunch of milk stouts and some like heavily cheese
Pizza with
pizza.
cheese all over
Head
it.
back
Sure.
and it's just there's this trail of gas the
Honey,
whole way
I'm
back.
home. She's like, I know.
Yeah.
All right.
watched just anyway. Oh.
Yeah, just following you along there. True, Nate. True. All right, let's do it, guys. We'll get in this last segment here. Nate, we're ready when you are.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Get them all coming.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons get cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. Now let's get back to Kettlerock Brewing.
Gentlemen, we are on to a milk stout. A nice, light, easy drinking milk stout. This is Mountain House. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. Sterling, you want to tell us a little bit about this beer?
So this is basically a brewer stout. So it's a pretty light stout. It's within the style, but it's a sweet stout. It's got lactose in it that sort of brings up the body a little bit for something that's so low ABV. And it's very roasty.
And some creaminess.
And it's very roasty. And so it provides a lot of flavor without really knocking you on the floor. It's kind of like the session version of a stout.
Sessionable stout.
It's really nice. The roast. I was just thinking about. It's like, it's almost like a coffee with cream in it. Just close to that. The nice roastiness, and you could drink it like a coffee without falling on the floor because it's 4.2%. So. Nicely done.
Depending on how you go at it there, how many of these you're drinking.
Well, I mean, just a crowler at a time, Tim. One crowler at a time.
3 crowlers in might be a little rough.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Depends on how quickly you drink them.
Especially if you try to mix in that wee heavy.
There you go.
Get that in
cuvee.
between.
A cuvee.
That could be a good cuvee right there.
It could be, yeah. Stephen, we talked about family. You've got the whole family involved there. But
Yes,
you mentioned that compassion for the community, nature, environment are all very important to Kettlerock, right?
Absolutely.
So what are some of the things you do to engage with those elements?
So for right now, what we've done is we've been able to engage one of the people we kind of ran into or we know on the side that can deal with our spent grain. So instead of just putting in the trash, we can actually give it to him. He's got like 3,000 free range chickens. He's got goats, he's got alpacas, and I forget if he's got other animals, and he's pretty sure he can take 5 barrels worth of spent grain at a time. He's not sure how much he can do with the 10 barrels, but we're gonna see how it goes, and at least we're able to deal with some of the spent grain that way. We actually did spent grain dog biscuits and have done that in the past, and had that at one of our events, or one of the Peachtree Corners events where they had dogs, and we had
the treats there ready for the pups.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It was called Bark at the Park.
Okay,
it was.
Gotcha.
And so we had spent grain dog biscuits along with craft soda samples for the people that come along with the dogs.
All right. Talking to the spent grain, I hadn't thought about this until just now, but 4 or 5 years ago, any brewer in Georgia could easily give their grain to a farmer. But now we've got triple the breweries that we did 5 years ago.
Exactly.
It's getting a little more crowded out there, right?
Exactly.
Farmers like, we appreciate it, but we got 10 breweries here that are offering us spent grain.
The pigs are out like, please, no more spent grain. I've had enough. Dab in the side of their mouth, their snout. Yeah.
Good for the piggies, though.
That's right. Yeah.
Are there any other uses, or have you looked into that any yet for spent grain?
We have not. I know that you can compost it,
okay,
such like that, but you have to find a place to do that, or a company that will deal with that.
Yeah, because even when you're talking 5 or 10 barrels, that would add up.
Exactly.
Imagine Sweetwater. I bet they've got some plan for their spent.
I think they have a plan for it. I know that Georgia Beer, the Georgia Brewers Guild, Craft Brewers Guild has had one of their vendors come by and say, "Hey, we can deal with spent grain," but it's like in South Georgia.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm assuming at a certain level, if you produce a consistent amount of the same kind of grain, like a fertilizing company would take it on and use it to create fertilizing products. Because at a certain point, you're going industrial with it, I would imagine, just because of volume.
Could you create
I mean,
fertilizer from that?
I would think so.
I know you can compost it, and I know a Sweetwater on Monday night, the bigger breweries, obviously, they need to deal with it. So they have a lot more volume than the small breweries like us, Slow Pour.
So
you have Social Fox over there, which is near us. Norcross Cultivation is near us. They might actually I don't know, but they could be doing composting since they started from a cultivation company.
Right. I wonder if you could do, like, they make fire logs, like out of pressed sawdust.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I
Yes.
wonder if you could do spent grain fire. There you go, people. I'm throwing out my
spent
idea.
grain. Oh, how
I bet
about
you
that?
could. You could
That's
probably
spent grain
press it
fire
with one of
logs.
those,
Right. Press the moisture out. Use the, whatever they use to keep it going. That's it. There's the business idea.
If you do it
And
so they're technically human edible, you could have spent grain biscotti that could be a fire log.
Edible humans?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm
Okay.
talking about. Edible humans. So, a spent grain biscotti that could double as a fire log or a fire starter, right? I mean, right.
Dessert
Get
or
your fiber
fireplace.
or start a fire.
Or you don't have to get a separate fire log and dessert.
Oh, when you're
Yes,
done with
exactly.
your
Just
coffee,
get
you
the
toss it
one.
in the,
you take a bite off of it and then you throw the rest in the fire. It's perfect.
And actually, at a recent Craft Brewers Guild meeting, there was a company that had the small logs of pressed wood. Why couldn't you do pressed grain?
That's what
That
I'm
had
thinking.
all the different anti-mosquito things in it.
See?
And so you burn it, and it gives off that smoke.
So it's
that
like a
odor.
citronella log.
It was citron. It was all the different ones.
Well, I have to
I
Google.
have
I wonder
smells.
if somebody-
Citronella and lemongrass, and all the things that.
the things we like and bugs hate, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
If you're
Yeah.
talking about spent grain incense, I think I've smelled that at a few breweries. It's very intense.
You make it yourselves a few times, don't you?
Yeah,
Well, I have to
occasionally.
Google. I'm wondering if anybody's ever done a spent grain fire log, because that seems like something.
Yeah.
Seems like I'm probably not the first person to think of that.
I would think that it
And
would
if
be
I
doable.
am, then I really regret the fact that I've said it on the radio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, guys,
So
what-
that's one of the first things we've talked about, and
Mhm.
the biggest things is that we want to be a part of the community where people come and enjoy sitting around. Actually, someone came by, and Brian, you saw the fireplace.
Yes,
Someone
I like that.
came by early on and said, "Oh, by the way, is this by reservation only?" It's like,
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
no, it's
it's open.
whoever wants to come by and sit on the couch. There's a sofa. There's chairs on either side, and actually, it's a two-sided fireplace. So there's some tables behind it, and
So
the mayor has come and sat there and chatted. So
a
Fireplaces
comfortable
are nice.
fireplace in a brewery with a nice couch next to it, right?
right,
That's right.
Do you allow sleeping in your tap room?
it's funny because Taylor Harper came in the other day
See?
with Jason Sleeman, and Taylor went over and sat down on the couch. And says, "Wow, I could go to sleep here."
Exactly. That sounded like a place.
No,
that-
don't do that.
Yeah, keep moving. Keep it moving.
We can't have that in here.
Taylor Harper is the Georgia beer lawyer.
Yes, he
And
is.
He's helped us a lot with some of the laws that we've passed
Yes.
here. And Jason Sleeman is a lender
Yes, he is.
for brewery
Yes.
lender there. So good guys. And were they coming as part of a guild meeting or?
Taylor is our lawyer, so
Okay, gotcha.
So that's where that came from. We've talked with Jason in the past. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen to be the bank that we went with, but we've talked with him in the past.
Good guy though.
He's a great
he keeps
guy.
me informed. He's very involved in the industry.
And
sure enough.
he did a great post on LinkedIn for us for Kettlerock because he was
Yep.
doing a
Mhm.
thing for themed breweries, and he liked the fact that we had that mountain house, but more modern and yet mountain kind of thoughts to it. So
Rustic luxury.
Rustic and comfortable. I
Yes.
like it. It's polished rustic, maybe. You do have a
That's-
tree in your bathroom, as I recall, right?
Yes,
Isn't
That's
there?
right.
yes, there is.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Is it one of the little pine trees?
No,
hanging
no,
from
it's
the
well, it's like
It's
a
birch.
Yeah, it's a proper
Okay.
birch part of the structure. It was very interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
He made a point of me. It's like, make sure you go in there.
You
Go
should
check
go
it
in
out.
there and lean it over a little bit, and then come out and go. These birches be tipping.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, we're gonna have to edit that one out.
No, leave it in. Leave it in.
You mentioned, I don't think we talked about it on air. You've got some beers going into barrels, and I believe the one we're drinking right now, the Mountain House, is going into a barrel, correct?
Actually, not that one and the Wee Heavy that we already had are both in barrels right now.
That's
Both
correct.
from Atlanta Spirit Whiskey barrels. The whiskey that was in there was Fiddler.
Okay, Fiddler.
They were
All right.
wet barrels that Jim sold to us. Jim was awesome. We went down there to talk to him about it, and we got some wet barrels, which is great. You take the barrels, you very bung out and catch what's left in it.
Oh, or maybe leave it in. Oh, maybe you shouldn't do that.
And so in any case,
I mean, if you forgot, I guess you forgot.
Whoopsie.
Was there? Is that like overly like woody? What's left in there at the when you get the barrels? When you get the wet barrels?
No,
Is it delightful?
If you've ever gone to a liquor store and they've had like a cask strength bottle,
Yeah.
it's exactly that.
You guys let me know
Oh,
next time. I'll
yeah.
come over with some Ziploc bags.
That's right.
So,
A straw. I
is
just
that
need a straw.
Is that a Ziploc bag full of whiskey? Yes, it is.
Yes.
You can in fact get barrel strength whiskey. It's expensive, but you can get it.
Yeah.
And the biggest difference between what falls out of a barrel and cask strength whiskey at the liquor store is the charred alligator char
The
bits
alligator char on
have
there, huh?
been strained out for you.
Oh,
already.
yeah.
Oh yeah. You don't get them in your glass that way.
It comes with a
right?
little
Yeah.
extra fiber for you. Tim.
exactly.
That's what they make a French press port for, bro.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Is that what
stuff.
they make that for? Okay.
Think so. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Steven, if people want to keep up with what is going on at Kettlerock Brewing, what's the best way for them to do that?
So you can go to kettlerockbrewing.com and you can follow us there by entering your email, or you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. So
Excellent.
those are easy ways to do it.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for sharing your time and your beer. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Join us next week as we surprise you with the episode that we have. We surprise us and you
Yes, indeed.
with what we've got next week. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so make sure to follow us for more craft beer news. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers. It's a wrap.
All right.
All right.
Dude, we did it. We did it.
So like I said, Sean wanted to say hello.
Good people.
Adam wanted to say hello.
Mark says, good
Steven
job.
Sterling, shout out there. Good job. Good job from the fan club.
Thank you.
Good stuff. We have any questions up there we missed, Nate?
I do enjoy this. This is
We
nice.
cover everything.
No, we're
We
good.
talked
Good.
So
Duchess and Zambonis and
It's-
smoked
I
nachos.
can't enjoy it very
We
much.
covered
I
all the
like
important
it.
topics there.
Skeeter Pete.
Skeeter Pete.
Skeeter Pete.
You know what? I'll have to remember to grab some of the bottles I've got. We'll have to chill one of those. Have you ever had it? All right, we've got to.
I didn't know what it was.
We haven't
That is
Okay.
a
Wow.
we haven't
interesting
brewed it in a
experience.
long time. This
We
is
have-
going
we
back
have-
like
yeah.
we still
6
have
years, 7 years since we last made it.
Oh,
So
that's around the same time that we made ours that we have.
And
now.
we
It's
still
like
have some bottles left.
that many years ago. Yeah.
You know, that reminds me of a time that it only slightly related. It just reminded me of it because we put it in wine bottles. But Brian and I went to a steakhouse that we really like, Kevin Rathbun Steak
oh yes.
in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And you had a bottle of Founder's Frangelic Mountain Brown, which came
That's
in at
right.
$7.50 at the time.
Yes.
And they allowed corkage there. So we're like, hey, are we able to bring in this bottle with us? You know, and we kind of showed it to them that it was beer. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. So we go and they see us sitting down
Take a left.
and they said, would you like a bucket of ice? And we're like, yeah, sure, that'd be great. So they bring it and they said, what kind of glasses, red or white? I'm like, oh, you think we got wine?
That's right.
No.
It's because
No.
it's a nice large format bottle. Yeah.
It's like, do you have a snifter?
Yeah.
Is
Well, I mean, any of those glasses would have worked, but
I was
yeah,
gonna
snifter
say-
was the
I
right
think
way.
a red would have been the better choice.
Yeah,
for
red would
that
be
beer
better for
if
something
you had
like
to
that.
choose a wine glass. But we ordered some fantabulous steaks and we popped open
Yes.
it. And
That was
let
great.
me tell you, it went absolutely fantastic with nice steak.
It
Nice.
does. Yeah.
And
Excellent.
thick cut bacon.
Yeah. And I was there recently within the past couple of weeks, and it might even be better, the bacon now, than it was.
See?
I don't even know how it's possible, but when I had it, I'm like,
Boom.
this is the best it's been in the last conceivable past
It
that I
had-
can remember.
It
It's
had a
been
weak point. It did have a point where it was not in
they
its
brought the
previous
game
glory.
back. It
Yeah.
was amazing. It was like, oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah.
So-
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, for those watching us online, we are going to sign off here. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week with something. Right,
Yeah.
Brian?
Yes.
See? There you go.
Probably.
We have the commitment. So thanks for watching us, y'all. We appreciate it. And we'll check in with you again soon. Cheers.